Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's rocking episode of Primetime Gaming. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL, and not only are the topics on tap for tonight's show outstanding, I have the pleasure of having an amazing guest. We were actually supposed to have two. Jay Fonzarelli from RDX was scheduled for today. Unfortunately, due to family obligations, he had to cancel, but he will be making an appearance either next week or the following Monday, so we will be getting him on. But of course, we do have one other very special guest making his debut on anything Double Barrel Gaming. And of course, he's here tonight, and I'm talking about Sir X-Man. So let's get into the absolutely incredible introductions, and then we'll get into the topics of the day. First up, and of course he is our special guest, we have another old school gamer who has an appreciation for the incredible Capcom and his love for Marvel vs. Capcom. He's a gamer, he's a gamer for life, and a man with the skills to pull off crazy loop-de-loops in the futuristic racing grip. A streamer who knows a thing or two about how to electrify the crowd on Twitch when he's using his NBA Jam style skills. Please welcome Sir X-Man.
You have been watching my stuff.
Yes, sir, I do my investigations. That is correct.
You are a gamer detective, bro, and I love it.
It's, you know what, some people might consider it stalking, but when I have guests on that I've never worked with, I try to go to their feeds and see what they're doing and work it into that opening. I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, I enjoy it, because that's the thing about a true gamer. They have knowledge about their gaming, and that's what I respect about you, brother.
Oh, well, I definitely appreciate the very kind words, and it's great to finally have you on the show, and it's going to be a really good one, so thanks again for being here. Let's move into the other introductions. Next, we have a gamer whose undying skills in Destiny have no match or limit. He's our inside man to everything GameStop. He's an incredible father, husband, and one heck of a community member, creator of the amazing Gaming Forte YouTube channel, and an integral part to the Basement Radio Arcade podcast. Please welcome Guardian Forte.
Oh man, I still get goosebumps every time he does it. Doesn't get old, nothing, man. It's always perfect and always right on. It's another Monday afternoon. Let's get some hype up in the chat. Hit that like button because this show's going to be fire. And as always, Boom, I already know this is going to be a great show. Well,
I definitely appreciate you being here. And yes, it actually is going to be. So we have some really unique topics. Some of the stuff no one is talking about that you're only going to listen here. And I'm very excited to talk about that. But I have to continue with the introductions. Next, we have the Italian gamer himself, who is one of the nicest and most skilled pirate legends on Sea of Thieves. He's the creator of the outstanding Four Guys with Quarters podcast. He's been gaming since the days of Galaxian, a community member who helps everyone that needs it for no other reason other than it's the right thing to do. A die-hard gamer who I consider a brother. Please welcome the Italian Clowns.
Thanks, Boom. Always a pleasure being here. And thank you for that. You shout out the Four Guys, man. We always appreciate that. And I couldn't do it without Assassin and Inferno either.
Well, listen, it's great to have you here. And yes, that is an amazing podcast, which I have actually been on a few times. And I think everyone should tune in when you have that show go live. Okay, now we are waiting on CyberKnox. He said he was running a little bit late, so we're gonna move on to the next panel member. Last, and certainly in no way least, we have a Monster Hunter legend who says it's an MMO life for him. A gamer who will save the universe from the clutches of the profound darkness when Phantasy Star 2 Online releases in early 2020. An Apex Legend assassin on the level of Agent 47 and an Overwatch player who understands there are no I in team. Please welcome Tempest Sun.
Hey, Boom. Everything you just said is 100% true. Just letting everybody know. I wish. No, I love it, man. Yeah, it's good to be here. We got some good topics, so let's get into it.
Well, you know what? We're gonna open up the show with something that I think should be done on more podcasts. And you know, when I talk about the community, it's not something that I just say just to say it. Community is what makes our podcasts possible, and involving them is something that was on the ground level of me when I was designing this show. And obviously, the topic of the week has been it's been a pretty big success. I've heard from a lot of people that really enjoy it. And today's community question of the week is being brought to us by the outstanding community member at Benjamin Lee of Twitter. And here's his question for the panel. And Sir X-Men, I'm going to ask you first because you are the guest. Should Metacritic scores be released 2 weeks after a game releases to avoid some outlets from giving games poor scores to bring down said Metascore? Also, to give media outlets more time with the game so everyone is not trying to get the reviews out first. What do you think about that, Sir X-Man?
I actually think they should be postponed or give them full copies that aren't broken, that are fixed. If they're going to give them to them early for a day-to-day review, give them the full copy. Let them get all the updates since everything is updatable now before the originals come out, so they can get their true assessment of the game. I do get bothered when critics do review things way too early and they don't have everything, all the content that goes with it, because they don't get true perspective of the game. They don't get an update to the physics. They don't get an update to the graphics. They don't get an update to glitches in the game that were corrected before the games come out. So you never get your true review. I think if they don't get that from the developers, they need to push their reviews ahead until they get everything uploaded and give the game time to get the feel and get, you know what I'm saying, and get the true meaning of the game as it was intended by the developer. And you know that's all I got on that subject.
Well, I mean, that's a lot of great points that you made. I mean, I think that when it comes to reviews, you see, the thing is this. Mm-hmm. You know, when you talk about reviews, you know, you're an old school cat like myself. There are a couple of people on this panel that have been gaming for a very long time, but more so than just gaming, we used to read magazines when they were racks of them, right? All the print magazines, right? The EGMs, the Nintendo Powers,
PlayStation magazine,
a PlayStation mag, Die Hard Gamer, Gamers Republic. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And there was a sense of pride and commitment to the craft of being a great writer that you saw in each page that you turned. And in 2019, it seems, and again, I'm not taking a dig at the younger guys, all right? Because listen, we all have to start somewhere. I mean, the last time I checked, we all start at the bottom and work our way up. At least that's how I was raised. But there were a lot of these younger reviewers that sometimes, based on the way that they write it up, don't even seem like they're actually playing the game till it's, you know, to the title that they are tasked to review. And you know what? Like it's the same principle that I have when I write these shows. Like, I really get on myself, and what I mean by that is even when I'm exhausted, I push myself to make sure that whatever I'm writing is going to be interesting for the folks that come out each and every week to listen to these shows. Oh. And that's what's missing with a lot of these reviews today. But you had a lot of great points. Now, I want to go over to Tempest Sun.
I just on something.
Yeah, please, absolutely. Come on in.
Okay. I've noticed that. Have you ever seen where it seems like a lot of these reviews that come later are like copy and paste?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Words and some of it, it's like no one wants to do the work. the right work the way it's supposed to be done, like an Adam Sessler, a Morgan Webb.
Adam Sessler. It's a shame that he's not in the business, isn't
I
it?
miss Adam.
Yeah,
Really bad.
Adam's a good dude.
Yeah. I met him, so he's actually really cool.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. If you got a chance to meet him,
Chicago.
that's actually pretty awesome, dude. But that's a great point. Copy and paste is certainly not the way you should be doing a review. But Tempest Sun, I'll read you the question again, and this comes, of course, again from @Benjamin Lee of Twitter. He asks, should Metacritic scores be released 2 weeks after a game's release to avoid some outlets from giving games poor scores to bring them down? Also, to give media outlets more time with the game so everyone is not trying to be the first one to get a review out. Now, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, this is it's a fantastic question, but it is a tricky one. The purpose of a review, even though it's somebody's opinion, and the purpose of something like a Metacritic or a Rotten Tomatoes, it's supposed to give you a general look into how it might be, how you're going to spend your money. It's like a buyer's guide, if you will.
Yes.
So if they were to delay it too much, I'm not about to sit here and harp on the game that just came out, Ghost Recon. I'm not going to do that because I haven't played it. I have no
It's
right
fantastic. We're going to be talking about that later on, but keep going.
Okay. So I don't know the story with the game, if it's really as good or as bad as some people are saying, but instantly, or it happened earlier this year with Crackdown. Crackdown was by no means a perfect game. To me, it was like a solid 7.5, 8, whatever, but it was fun, solid fun. But if you look at the Metacritic score, very quickly you'd be led to believe that it's a turd, a complete turd.
Yes,
not
absolutely.
worth your time. So I don't really know what's going on. I think at the bottom line is, even if you were to hold it 2 weeks, you'd still run into some of this stuff. You'd still have people rating it way too low for clicks. You'd run into the same bull crap. Now, what I can say is I think it's up to the developers to, when they pin down a time. I know developing games is extremely hard, but pin down that time. They should look at it as, that's the launch time, and we really need to make sure all the bugs are ironed out, but they should really probably get the games in these people's hands at least a week ahead of time.
Yeah, I agree.
And don't get them there like the same day or anything like that, because that's how you get these really botched reviews. But I mean, even beyond that, the review scope right now is such a cluster F. It just really is. Like recently, now I wouldn't call this game perfect by any means. It has its own issues. I recognize it has its own issues, but I'm playing through Code Vein. It came out like a couple weeks ago. My wife and I are playing through it. We're having a great time. I'm in love with the game. It's a lot of fun, but I would honestly say it's probably like a solid 8. And that's not a bad score. That's a good score. An
8's an excellent score.
Yeah. I would say it's a solid 8, right? And some of the review score are a bit lower than that, but let's take IGN, for example, one of the bigger media sites on the planet. They go ahead and they review it. I think it was like a 7.0 or a 7.5 or something. I probably should have looked at it before I said this, but it's in the 7s, right? Not much lower than my score, and I've played a lot of games that reviewed lower than that and had a great time with it, but it wasn't even the score. If you would have read or watched the review, I played the trial of that game, and every single thing the person talked about in the review is in the trial. Fast forward a couple weeks, and there is a lot of things that they introduce into the game that were flat out not in the trial. He didn't talk about the bosses, which some of them are extremely unique. They have some like almost MMO type mechanics to them that you have to avoid. And the character customization is a huge feature in that game. If nobody's tried it yet, download the trial, make yourself a character. You can make him look like however you want. It's a brilliant character customization tool. Fantastic, right? One of the best selling points to the game, probably for people that like this genre. Now you watch the review and they don't mention the character creator at all. As a matter of fact, if you've played the game like I did, he was using a default character, which to me just says the person was spamming the A or the X button as quick as they could to play something of the game. I mean, so it's just stuff like that where I'm just kind of like, you put no time into this review. You couldn't have. You absolutely couldn't have. So, I mean, even though the score wasn't terrible, if you actually listen to what they're saying, it's just, it's so blah. It's just so cookie cutter by the numbers, and
You
it's
know
crap.
that and when you hear that, dude, that's actually quite disgusting. And here's the reason why. You know, regardless of whether or not they got the game on time or they didn't, and I'm pretty sure they got it on time because it is Bandai Namco. And they don't. We don't know. I mean, I can't say for sure, but as far as we know, they don't have any issues with media outlets. Usually, they get their stuff.
Yeah.
They do their reviews, and everyone's happy. But to hear that the review, from your opinion, because you played it, seemed as if it was just being done by the demo, is something that maybe IGN should look into. Because wow, if that's how they allowed that, because the thing is this. I don't know who actually wrote the review. In fact, I didn't even read it. But it is good chances that person is a younger person. And, Sir X-Men said something really interesting, putting in the work. Folks, listen, I don't care if you're 20, and I don't care if you're an old bastard like me who's going to be 50 next September. You got to put the work in everything you do. Now, I don't care whether you bake cakes or you run podcasts or everything in between. Have some freaking pride about what you do, and I guarantee you it's going to turn out a lot better. And that's very disappointing, but that really great answer for that. Clowns, being you're an older chap like myself, I want to pose this question to you. Should Metacritic scores be released 2 weeks after the game's release to avoid some outlets from giving poor scores to bring down the Metascore? Also, to give media outlets more time with the game so everyone is not trying to be the first one to get a review out. What do you think about that, dude?
Well, I don't agree with the 2 weeks after, and I'll tell you why.
Okay, listen, I love it.
I think that they should get the review codes about a month ahead of time, so that they can start playing the game and get a good review out at least, or a mostly full review.
Were you saying what, about a week?
A month.
A month
before the game.
Okay.
Yeah, so a month before the game comes out, companies should send out the review codes, and then the reviewers should have that time to play the game, really get into it, check out multiplayer, all aspects of the game. And as far as review scores bombing and all that, I hate to say this, Boom, but I still believe there's a little bit of conspiracy. And I say that because I think a lot of these review sites and a lot of these big name journalists are all friends with each other. And I'm almost sure that some of them talk the talk, when they hang out.
You are right.
Go to the bars and stuff. And like, oh, yeah, I'm going to give it a 95. Oh, no, I'm going to give it an 87. Oh, we need somebody to give it like a 60 so it doesn't look like we're all in cahoots together. So I think it's all I hate to say this, I think it's all kind of like pre-planned for some of that stuff. And I think, former posts on NeoGAFs kind of alluded to that before in the past. So, yeah, I don't think before or after is going to prevent bad scores. And there's always going to be those smaller sites that just want to make a name for themselves anyway, and they might just give it like a 1 out of 5 or something just to be,
just
funny
to get the clicks. Yeah, just to get people
just get the clicks. That's it. What I say to people is just trust your favorite review site, trust your favorite reviewer, people that review games similar to your tastes, because then it's going to be on par with what you feel.
That's a great point. That is definitely a great point. And I see that Cybernox is here. Welcome, my friend. I'm going to come to you in a second. Mr. Nautical Gaming, I'd like to pose this question to you and see what you have to say about it. Should Metacritic scores be released 2 weeks after a game's release to avoid outlets giving it poor scores to bring down the Metascore? Also, should we give media outlets more time with the game so everyone is not trying to be the first one out there to do the review? What do you think about that?
Both of these points are very, very valid, and they both need to happen for their own different reasons. First of all, reviewers need to have more time with games because overall, we didn't heard of the crunch of how games are developed is also a crunch when people are trying to review games.
Yep.
Especially if you're trying to get certain people that actually play those type of games to review it, because you take somebody like Dustin over at IGN. He plays a lot of Destiny, but what happens if he's not able to review that game and we get somebody else to review the game? Maybe we know his opinions of the game and we know he's going to be critical of it in certain spots. What about other people? But another thing is developers have to, they really depend on Metacritic because that's how they like structure bonuses for a lot of companies. You know, if a game hits a certain Metacritic score, the whole team gets bonuses off of that and stuff. So it's like a catch-22 on both sides of it. Do they want to release these reviews earlier? Is it kind of a conspiracy theory where they say, hey, if we put this game in somebody's hands that doesn't really have enough time to experience the whole game, that the game is probably going to get lower scores from other people, but from the people that we give those review codes out to like literally weeks ahead of time, they're going to balance it out to still give it a pretty good, decent review score. Now, when it comes to pushing off 2 weeks, that could be a hit or miss thing. I am more with pushing it off just because when it comes to just talking about games and those negative reviews are only valid for the first couple of days of the Metacritic score being out there. People, they go scouring through the reviews, they'll see what the highest reviews, they'll say, oh look, it's a PlayStation game and PlayStation Lifestyle magazine gave it 100, or they'll say, oh look, it's a PlayStation site that did this on an Xbox game, or saying vice versa for Xbox versus PlayStation, or just medias that have agendas to certain systems that a lot of people believe they really
Good
do.
point.
So that really comes down to, but if you push those reviews out, or not the reviews, but if reviews still happen at the same time that they normally should happen, which is released on the day of launch of a game, then Metacritic doesn't compile its massive list of everybody that reviewed the game for at least a week to 2 weeks. Then you got to have people, they have to do the work on their own. And we know people don't like to do any type of work.
Well, don't say that.
Half the people,
God forbid.
God forbid, but half the people in the world don't even want to do work. The other half don't even really want to play games. They just want to talk about that they play games. So if they push this stuff out for a week and the review still came out, like Call of Duty's review drops the day before the game comes out, but the Metacritic scores don't hit until a week or 2 weeks after. If you want to know exactly what a game got from a certain outlet, you have to go to that website to read that review on that website. Most people won't even take the time to look at the obscure websites just because they don't even know who those websites are. The only reason we got a face to these websites is because they're plastered right on the front of Metacritic with a 50 out of 100, and that's because they just wanted to get clicks and base right to the website. I think that would clean up a lot of it if they did push it at least 1 week back, because that's like the sweet spot. Everybody's looking for the first 2-3 days. After the first 2-3 days, everybody's pretty much just settling into the game. They already made an informed decision on buying it, or they're not going to buy it, or they're just going to wait for a sale. But at that point, Metacritic is kind of irrelevant after like a week or two. We just think it's irrelevant because we talk about it for longer than a week or two.
Well, those are really great points, and I agree with holding off a week, or like Clowns was suggesting, give the game early. So you can, I mean, that's the thing too.
Well, that's the one that needs to happen automatically.
Yeah, for sure.
This day of release stuff is ridiculous. Like, when did you got a code for Gears of War, right?
I did.
When did you get that code?
I got it. Okay. I got it the Wednesday. 2 days before the Ultimate Edition was released. And then when I did my review, because I played through the game and I beat the game before I did my review, I put my review out literally 7 days afterwards. That next Wednesday morning is when the review went live. Now, whether you know or not, like Colt Eastwood, who's been on the show, as well as Dealer, they were given the code almost a week before it launched, maybe even a little bit more. And, obviously they were able to play and get their review out the day of, which was amazing. I mean, they really worked real hard on that. You see, they got it a little bit more than a week before. They're gamers. They actually play games, and they were able to get these 2 phenomenal reviews out there. It's a shame we don't see that happening with the IGNs and stuff.
You know why it doesn't? I'm going to tell you why it doesn't happen. And this isn't a shot against Colt or Dealer, because they're real stand-up guys and they tell the truth about their reviews. But Microsoft has a knowledge of what people say and what
Yes.
they do in the reviews.
Yes.
They have a knowledge of it.
Yep.
So they know if this game is good, these guys are going to give us a good review. As long as the game is good, they're going to tell everything the way it is. But they pretty much don't have a bias. They still feel like they're pro Xbox, but they're not going to lie to their fans and tell them the game's not good.
Right.
Compared to somewhere like IGN or Giant Bomb or something like that, where they really don't have any type of allegiance to any camp or anything like that, then they're a little bit more skittish on giving those reviews a whole lot earlier.
Well, listen, we're gonna Cybernox. We're gonna get to you right now. First of all, welcome to the show, dude. I appreciate you being here.
I'm late, everybody.
Nah, he was fighting off traffic with a baseball bat
from Manhattan. Man.
Well, listen,
Did
it's
Kanye
great.
Put you in his secret jet.
Hey,
maybe listen.
I didn't say how I got here so fast.
Yeah, well, listen, we're not going to talk about the Bat Cave or anything, but listen. First of all, again, thanks for being here, dude. Cyber, here's the question:
Absolutely.
Should Metacritic scores be released 2 weeks after a game releases to avoid some outlets giving games poor scores to bring down the Metascore? Also, to give media outlets more time with the game so everyone is not trying to be the first to get out the review. How do you respond to that?
I think 2 weeks. That's another great question by the community, by the way. 2 weeks, I think it's a long time. Games are dying off sometimes even faster than 2 weeks. So 2 weeks, I think it's a long time. I'm for one. I think I'm on the minority here. I like the aggregation that is Metacritic. Now, I don't like what it turned into.
Okay.
Enjoy seeing a score up there, reflecting what a game really is supposed to be. If a game usually got a high score, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, or in Metacritic scores, 80, 85, 90, you knew for a fact that game was quality. Now, everything that Metacritic stands for now is just, if you're below a 90, you're not a good game.
Yeah, I hate to say that, but that's a really great point, dude.
I think 2 weeks, it might be a long time. Some people are looking for others to actually justify their purchase or justify the games that they like, and I don't think they should, even reflect on that. And they're looking for that Metacritic score for them to buy the game. So I'm not sure. I think 2 weeks it's a long time. I do think, however, giving the reviewers enough time to review the game is by far the most important thing.
Yep.
Not just that, but you have to have a reviewer who actually knows how to play that game.
Exactly.
If that reviewer enjoys that genre.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Racing guy, right? Like I don't play that many racing games. I'll play it for fun. But if you got me to review, let's say Forza or Gran Turismo, any of those games, Grid, I couldn't tell you what's changed, anything on that game.
That's a great point.
You know what I mean? You can't do that. I think that's one of the biggest problems right now. Everybody's just trying to review games so fast and putting it out there. And something that Clowns alluded to earlier, all these guys know each other. All these reviewers know each other. They always talk. So there could be some inside information that gets traded in around, that they're like, oh, everybody's giving it this kind of review. Let me give it this low review. Review is going to get more clicks than the high reviews.
It's possible.
So
I mean,
I'm not sure.
I also. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
Jump in.
I was just also going to say about that with them sharing reviews. I also think it might just be like trying to fit in with your peers, trying to avoid going too high or going too low with some of these places too. You probably get the opposite effect as well, where they don't want to be called out on giving them a crappy review depending on the place. So it just seems like everybody's been saying, you get these copy paste reviews, whereas, dude, a lot of people, I mean, if a game's really good, it's going to get really good reviews. Don't get me wrong, but it's just one of those things where it's like a lot of different people have different opinions too. You know, you'd think they'd enjoy this part of the game more than this person, but a lot of these reviews are practically the same. And I was going to say that, but I was also going to bring up the multiplayer aspect. So many of these games are games as a service. I really think instead of just the reviewers, they need to technically launch the game early if it's a multiplayer game for these reviewers, but they also need maybe some people that have pre-ordered the game or something, get more of the community involved and slap an NDA
to populate
that
multiplayer mode. Yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
That's a really great point.
Like Metacritic, you look in there, you can tell like if most of the people there now they have critic reviews and they have users reviews.
But the user reviews are a complete joke. That's you never pay any attention to that.
Yeah. I think it all depends on the game. That's what I think everybody has a little bit of bias in them, depending on what type of genre game you play. But it's up to let a score reflect on what you're going to play or not. You can go in there, kind of like, having second thoughts or, not sure. But don't let a score of a game, not allow you to play that game. Don't ever decide not to play a game based on a score if it's something that you really want to try. But yeah, man, it's really tough, especially in today's day and age. A lot of people are doing things for clicks, and
It's like
Critic is one of those.
it's like
it's doing
a
something like
Metacritic
that.
score sorry to interrupt. I apologize.
No, come on in,
Sure.
X-Man. What do you want to add something to this before we move on?
I know we've all seen it where they have a Metacritic score, but they split a Metacritic score between consoles. And I'm like, why do you split a Metacritic score between consoles when it's still technically the same game? I don't understand. Like, the other guy is really going to play two versions of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that actually does make a lot of sense. I mean, obviously before the lead platform, it would be the PlayStation 4 for its graphics prowess over the standard Xbox and the S, right? And then the X came out, right? And the X came out, and that changed things because there were technical advances in some games that you couldn't get on even the PS4 Pro. So. This
is what I'm saying, Boo. Rate the game, the game on the game.
Yes.
Don't rate the game on which higher end console, what's this, what's that. If the game is good, then it's good on all consoles. You should eliminate that.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, that's again, it's. I hate to say this, unfortunately, big changes need to come to Metacritic, and I hope that they come sooner than later because. It seems as if it used to be the tell-all of getting all the scores in one place. For gamers to go and say, oh, I want to see whether this, what's going on with this game, and because games like, let's say for instance, Gears of War 5. There were some people that gave it 3 stars out of 5, which is a terrible review score because technically that's a 60, and that's ridiculous. I think that the way that Metacritic should score their games, or one of the changes that I would do is it would have to be a score. No more stars, no 5 stars. It has to be a numbered score across the board, so the game itself is properly reviewed and rated. Because if you're giving it, because a reviewer that uses the 5-star principles may say, well, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. That's a great score, but is it? Now, I'm not saying 80 is not a great score, but maybe if you wanted to give it an 85, I mean, we don't really see half stars, right? So there's no such thing.
But boom, if Metacritic went by the 5-star principle, then Gears of War would get a 4 out of 5.
No, that's true.
Back then, that used to be the higher rating. If you got a 4, then it's a good game. Go pick it up.
The thing with Metacritic, sorry, guys.
Oh no, you could. Go ahead.
No, sorry, X-Man. The thing about Metacritic too is, look at Anthem as a good example. A lot of people were telling you, listen, this game is not complete. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of barriers to this game. but it ended up doing extremely well because everybody disregarded what everybody was saying.
Well, I think everyone was really excited for that game. That game,
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it could see it on both sides of the spectrum, So it's tough, man. They have to really do something. I don't know if you guys remember, I even said, you know what? To the reviewers, just hey, how did this reviewer do? If they put a little description there what actually went wrong, or if you happen to read their review and you think that they actually did a thorough job on the review and they did a good job, let you rate them. The more credible they become, the more people are going to go see them anyways.
Here's
it's something to think about.
Why don't they? Okay, they can review a game right at the beginning, but games get updates, they get fixes, and then they get better a year later. Re-review a game 1 year later.
That's a great point. That's something that would be interesting for sure. If a game came out, let's say, for instance, and we're going to get into Ghost Recon later, which, by the way, is amazing. And then once they patch it, which I don't think they need to do because I'm enjoying it, but yeah, I see your point. I mean, it's tough. It's definitely, there is no real wrong answer here. But I think change definitely needs to come. But I want to move on to the next particular topic. And for me, this to me is the feel-good story of 2019. Obviously, in the summer, we all learned and were crushed to find out that Tom Holland and Spider-Man were being pulled from the MCU. And, we obviously know that what happened, we know what happened between the two companies. They couldn't figure it out. Well, thankfully, they came to an understanding. They signed some contracts. Spider-Man's back in. Kevin Feige is going to be producing 3. Then there's going to be another Spider-Man who's going to turn up probably in the Avengers next big event. But in a report that was published by comicbook.com, Polygon, Entertainment Weekly, CNBC, and along with at least 10 other trade sites, Tom Holland allegedly saved the Sony-Disney Spider-Man deal by personally getting involved. And I want to talk about this because I'm a huge MCU fan. But what this kid did is what you should be a fan of him, because let me break it down. Apparently, he went on a personal mission and he made a call to Bob Iger, head of Disney, Alan Horn, who is the CCO of Disney, Kevin Feige, of course the head of Marvel, and Tom Rothman of Sony to plead his case, but it was for the fans. Now, as we know, the actor who has been playing the role of Peter Parker in the MCU since Captain America Civil War reportedly is the driving force in reconciling the two studios. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Holland met with Disney CEO Bob Iger and Sony Film Chairman Tom Rothman multiple times before also appealing to Bob Iger once again. Now, we may never know exactly what happened in these meetings, but this is being reported upon by all the major trades. Now, Holland clearly has an emotional investment to the character, and at this year's D23 appearance of Pixar's Onward, he told the fans, "It's been a crazy week, but I love you 3000," and that he was going to continue to play Spider-Man, and that of course he thanked Marvel, Disney, and Sony for giving him the opportunity. Now, why this is something special is because, according to the reports, he did it not for himself, but because the fans were so disappointed that Spider-Man was not going to be in the MCU anymore, and that he wanted to see if he could do something as the lead actor. Now, you got to remember, he's a kid, right? Tom Holland's a young dude, and for him to have the forethought to get involved for the fans' sake is something that's incredible. Now, obviously, this happened the same week as my birthday, and as a fan of the MCU, I could not have been happier. If I got nothing else but Spider-Man back in the MCU, it would have been a birthday I never forgot. But I want to go to the panel, and of course, I want to actually go to Cybernox, who's our resident comic book fan. When you heard this story being reported upon by all of the major trades, what were your thoughts of Tom Holland?
I was laughing before, Boom. I love your passion, and I love everything allegedly Tom Holland did for Spider-Man. But there is no way in hell that he was responsible for this deal, in my personal opinion.
Okay, all right.
Honestly think this deal. I think first and foremost, whenever the split happened, I think it was a strategic move by Disney, right? They know how big the Spider-Man franchise had done under their belt. They want to take this character and put him forefront, as you see in other movies, bringing him up to be the next Tony Stark. You know what I mean? So I think they were strong arming Sony a little bit, and Sony didn't budge. I think it was just they were gonna see, they were gonna wait. They knew that there was gonna be a lot of fan backlash because there hasn't been a relevant Spider-Man movie in a few years until this most recently one. The other ones were all mediocre, to say the best.
Spider-Man 2,
the one with Tommy Maguire, was great.
With Toby,
Spider-Man,
yeah.
Toby, yeah. Spider-Man 2 during that era was amazing. But to me, I think this is a little bit of them giving him a nod, putting the spotlight on him, telling the fans, hey, listen, I did for you guys, so they're going to continue to support Spider-Man. They're probably going to support him twice as hard now. I don't deny, or I don't, that he maybe did go out of his way to try to persuade these big CEOs and the president and Kevin Feige and the COO. I don't deny that. I'm pretty sure that he did his due diligence and he went after it because I'm sure he loves playing that role and playing that role right under the MCU. So I don't deny that he went after that, but to give him a lot of credit for this deal, I don't think so. Sorry, Tom Holland. And
no,
I
mean that's okay. Listen,
Boom,
we don't have to agree on everything. That's
old,
for sure.
right?
That's a great point.
Yeah. So no, yeah, I think this deal was done way beforehand. Marvel knew exactly what they were doing, and then this is just them, putting a little spin on it to give them the spotlight. And I think it's gonna work out well for them.
Well, I mean, it's going to work out well for everyone. At the end of the day, the people that win are the fans. Sir X-Men, I want to go to you on this. What are your thoughts and beliefs, more importantly, that Tom Holland, I'm not saying that he held the pen while they were signing the deal, but like I said, the trades, when the trades report on something, there's a really good chance that there's some truth to the report. And it was reported upon by anywhere between 12 and 15 big-time places. What are your thoughts on Tom Holland getting involved? Because you know what? He may not be Bob Iger. He may not be Tom Rothman, but he's still the star of Spider-Man. And, even though he has a signed contract, you want him happy. And apparently he was willing to do this for the fans. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that they saw his Twitter account and they saw how it was blowing up against Sony, and that helped persuade the deal a little bit. It could happen. You see how Twitter gets reactions from a lot of these, companies and stuff like that. But he is a good Spider-Man, and if he had something to do with that, then it's a great thing because he's actually the best Spider-Man I've seen since Tobey Maguire's first two. Third one we don't ever talk about. But
yeah, there you go.
But he deserves the role, dude. I mean, he made that Spider-Man. He made it. His character performed with the MCU. So there was some give that Sony had to give, and I think oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I think where are you at? I think Cyber was correct, man. I think DC played their card right. They knew they had to give him because they knew they weren't going to make as much money as they did Sony without Marvel's help. They weren't, you know. if you had found out that he wouldn't have been in the MCU with another Sony Spider-Man movie, I don't think they would have got as many fans because they're too intertwined right now. They are so intertwined, and they're getting ready to go to Phase 4. They know that Spidey had to be in that universe, so Sony had to give, and I'm happy they gave because he's pretty much the next best Spider-Man I've ever seen play the role.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And yeah, you have some really great points.
I didn't hear him.
Nautical Gaming, I want to go to you. What are your thoughts of Tom Holland personally getting involved, not for himself because he was getting paid regardless, but the fact that he went out of his way for the fans? Do you believe what the trades are reporting?
I mean, there's two sides to every story.
Of course there is.
It's always, yeah, there's two sides. If it was up to him, I believe this story will actually be accurate to a certain point. The only reason he wanted to be Spider-Man is because of the tie-in to the MCU, and that was one of the biggest reasons why he wanted to do that. So as much as he kind of stayed on the sidelines when it initially happened, he did come out later saying that he said it sucks, it bums him out, but he's still going to stick by Sony because they gave him that opportunity. But
right.
He's, like he said, he wanted to be part of that whole universe. And anybody that thought that this deal wasn't going to happen sooner or later, I think Ty Hollis probably went in and asked us, like, okay, guys, for real, are we really going to do this? That's probably the extent. That's probably the extent of the whole conversation he had with Sony head up. And probably talked to Kevin Feige on the back end. He probably had some working knowledge that they were still working on this on the back end. But I can see him going in and say, dude, come on, are we really going to do this? We literally just blew the lid off of Spider-Man Far From Home with the biggest spoiler I've ever seen in my life in a Spider-Man movie, and you were really going to leave us on a cliffhanger like that? Because that literally would not happen. That ending makes no sense.
Right. If they can't explain what exactly happened, then that would have been ridiculous.
It makes no sense. So I thought it was always a ploy. Marvel doesn't even want the IP. I mean, of course they would love to have the IP back because Spider-Man is like the biggest superhero in the they're willing, lay down and eat what they take. And they gave up the right at to Sony all those years ago. And Sony is literally using their marketing, just like they do in video games. This is something that they felt like they can do. And Venom didn't make it no better. Venom so well that they were like, we don't even need Marvel.
Yeah,
they said, we don't even need Marvel. Look what we can do with Venom without the helping of Marvel. So that kind of empowered them a little bit more to say, hey, we could do this without you, Marvel. You already set this standard with Spider-Man that we didn't set. We set something completely different. So if you guys want to acquiesce to whatever this is, then so be it for you. But this was something that was going to happen regardless, because Sony has never had $1 billion franchise until Marvel became a part of it. Yes, they did get there with Venom by itself, but all eyes are on Marvel. Anything that has Marvel's name on it, and Venom has Marvel's name on it, sales. So Marvel kind of helped that movie without really helping it at all. And all they were asking for is some type of rights and getting some of the merchandising rights and some of the movie costs. And they actually said, we will help you split the cost of making this movie. We don't know what the deal is now that they're doing it, but I agree with his name. Ty Holland's probably had minimum to do with it, but I can definitely say that he's always the person that's always been for the fans regardless. So anything that he did say to the higher ups is always a plus, because he's inside that working room with those people and letting them know what people really feel overall. And plus he wants to be in more Marvel movies going forward. So that was also a beneficial to him too. So, but yeah, I agree. He had something to do with it, but not as much as most people probably think he did.
Everybody knows that Tom Holland cannot keep a secret to save his job.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
He drops
would
bomb.
No deal.
Yeah. Remember when Endgame came? Remember when Endgame came? When at the end of Endgame, was it Endgame? No, the end of Infinity War. He literally went on IG and on Twitter and literally tweeted out, not tweeted out, but showed a picture of him holding the script from Far From Home in his hand on an iPad. He said, "Look what I'm reading, guys. The script from Far From Home, the first draft of it." And that was literally a week after Infinity War came out. So we know that dude can't hold no secrets.
Wow, that's definitely true. Hey, clowns, I want to get your opinion. I'm not sure what your love or hate relationship is for Marvel. But, you know, I like to deal in facts. And the facts that so many of the trades who are really put up there when it comes to these news stories breaking had said this about Tom Holland personally getting involved. What are your thoughts on that, dude?
Well, you know, it's hard for me to say. I'm not sure if, you know, Tom Holland really got directly involved or if it's PR spin. But either way, I mean, to the fans, it makes him look like a hero. And if he was that talented to piece together companies coming together like Disney, Marvel, and Sony all together, all in one, then that dude has a career after acting, I'll tell you that.
Okay, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, listen, it's look, like I said, at the end of the day, it's a win for the fan base. That's all that matters. Is that the fans won, and they were the ones that were going to take the ultimate loss. And this is something that no one else is really talking about. We don't really know, but with this deal locked in, it guarantees Sony for the PlayStation 5 a guaranteed Spider-Man 2 by Insomniac. And as a fan of that game who really enjoyed it, I'm excited to know. And again, Sony hasn't said anything about it, but it would be safe to imagine that if they couldn't figure out a deal, Marvel was just going to say, hey, yeah, you know, have Spider-Man, because they hold the license rights for video game Spider-Man. The films are exclusive to Sony. They own those rights. But not for video games, not for merchandising. And, Sony would have been up against the wall if this deal wouldn't have gone through. But you know what? Keeping with Sony, I want to move on to the next particular topic, one that I'm very excited to talk about. This story I pulled from the pages of Screen Rant, and one of my absolute favorite new IPs from this generation is getting a sequel. And I don't think it comes off as a surprise, but from the makers of Killzone, Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is happening. The question is, when? Now, Horizon Zero Dawn, if you don't know, because some people passed up on that game, is a PS4 exclusive, and it deals with post-apocalyptic, setting and it's a really cool open world action game set in the 31st century. And the story follows a hunter named Aloy, who is played by or voiced by Ashley Birch. She's from Adventure Time, if you don't know, who fights against robotic dinosaur-like creatures that have overrun the planet. Now, not only was Horizon Zero Dawn a smash hit for Guerrilla Games, who brought another amazing character to the already stacked list of incredible IPs for the PlayStation brand, but if you didn't know, Guerrilla Games spent 7 years making Horizon Zero Dawn, which accounts for the quality of the final game. Now, from the characters, the world, the lore, everything about that game was a complete shocker, because if you look at Guerrilla Games' past history, all they made was Killzone. And this game really came out of nowhere. I know a lot of people like to jump, pile on the rabbit. I thought it's still in my top 5 games of this entire generation, and I think Aloy is an amazing character. Now, I will say this. Even though Horizon Zero Dawn 2 has yet to be officially announced by Guerrilla Games, it might have been accidentally confirmed elsewhere. Now, actress Janina Gavankar, who's in Star Wars Battlefront 2, was at Star Wars Celebration event in April of 2019 and responded to a fan who complimented on her work. And this is what she had to say: "Wait until you see the sequel. You're going to die." Now, I think that she said something she probably shouldn't have said. Now, here's my question to the panel, and I'll start with Sir X-Men. To say that I personally loved Horizon Zero Dawn would be an absolutely understatement. But I want to know what your thoughts on the first title, and are you excited to see where Guerrilla Games takes Horizon Zero Dawn 2?
To be honest, I never played the first title, but I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad it was like one of your top games. But I'd say for a sequel is always good for any video game, dude. Always good. That's all I can really say on that because I never played it.
Okay, I mean, listen, that's fair. I wouldn't want you to come up here and say, yeah, the game was great, you never played it.
I do want to say, from what I've seen, though, the game did look extremely beautiful.
Very well done, for sure.
Beautiful game to play. Okay, I'm off the subject.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Listen, dude, listen. Not everyone's going to have a lot to say. That's why I over-prepare for these shows. Nautical Gaming, or Gaming Forte, or Guardian Forte. You have a lot of names, dude. We got to stick with one of them. What are your thoughts on Horizon Zero Dawn 2, and are you excited to see where Guerrilla Games takes Aloy in the possible sequel that may, in fact, be a PlayStation 5 launch title? Oh, Nautical is on mute. All right, so I'm going to...
Oh, no, I'm here.
Okay.
Look. Horizon's okay. Let me tell you. First of all, Horizon Zero Dawn. I loved that game for the first 20 hours of it, and then the little game called Breath of the Wild came out, and I've never went back. I need to go back and finish that game. I think the biggest thing with that game is once I started it, it's like one of those games. Like once you start it, you need to finish it. Because trying to pick up an open world game like that and remember exactly everything you did and how all the skills and stuff work, it's pretty rough doing. So I'm gonna make it continue. So once they not announced, but once I heard about this story, I said, man, I need to go back and beat this game because the one thing I really love about it is just the dynamic gameplay that it had when it came between the different enemies and the different robots, and the story that I got to so far in the game was like really, really good. It was really riveting. It did drag on in certain places. But seeing Guerrilla pivot so heavily from they normally are with Killzone was the most impressive thing for me. Even if you weren't a fan of Horizon Zero Dawn, you cannot say that them taking that studio and making a game like they made like that is a complete departure from what they like to do. And that was something that I really admired about them because truth be told, I'm a huge Killzone fan. I love Killzone 2. I love Killzone 3. I played the multiplayer like crazy. And when I heard that they were doing that, I was like, well, Shadowfall wasn't all that great. It was okay. Story was kind of lackluster. It was. Of the first three games. And I was like, but when they did Horizon Zero Dawn, I was like, man, this is cool, but is it going to feel natural because it's not a game that they developed? I mean, not developed, but not a game that they like their forte is in.
Yeah, well, it certainly wasn't in their wheelhouse for sure.
Nowhere near their wheelhouse. But then when I played it, like I said, I enjoyed the mess out of it. And then Breath of the Wild came out and changed all that.
It ruined everything for you.
It ruined everything because Breath of the Wild just gives you total freedom. And if you haven't played it, it's pretty amazing.
It certainly is.
But overall, I am super happy to see this and hear about this. I'm definitely going to go back and beat that game. I'm going to have to start my campaign over because I don't know where the hell I am in that game. And for what I hear, the Frozen Wild DLC is better than the actual game.
It is. I'm playing through it now. I didn't get a chance. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yep. So I'm excited, Moon.
Well, listen, I mean, that's definitely great to hear. Clowns, I want to go to you, dude, because you obviously are someone that supports multiple consoles. And first of all, like Sir X-Men was saying, when a game does well enough to garner a sequel, that's great for everyone. It's great for gamers, it's great for the developer, and it's great for the platform. And that platform happens to be the PS4, which is notorious, especially in this generation, for having outstanding first-party games. This happens to be one of them. When you read the show notes and you heard that Horizon Zero Dawn 2 should be announced soon, hopefully, and could even be a PS5 launch title, what are your thoughts on that, dude?
Well, I just want to say this. I'm with Sir X-Man. I never played Horizon Zero Dawn, but I do have it. I have the game, and I'm sitting on it. But now that there's a sequel in the works, I'm really excited because then I could just play them back to back and have an awesome long story. From all the screens that I've seen and all the reviews I've read on Horizon Zero Dawn, it looks like a fantastic game. I just haven't had time to play it due to my backlog, but this is one game I really want to jump into. And just knowing that they were able to make a sequel that was that successful makes me really excited for Guerrilla Games.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a great point. And I'm going to tell you this, graphically, Horizon Zero Dawn stands tall with anything that has come before it and after it. I'm going to tell you that right now. The game is very big, lots to do. I know some people in the chat saying that the side quests weren't the greatest, and I'll agree with that. Especially when you have to find like someone's missing leg or something. It's actually we used to talk about it on Crossfire and make fun. Mooch and Crap always made fun of me because I champion this game, and I don't care because I love it. But yeah, it's really good to see a developer like Guerrilla Games who was pigeonholed into just making first-person Killzone shooters, then to show this masterpiece that they took 7 years to make, and not to kind of just. I'm just going to pivot a second. This is what I'm hoping happens with Playground Games, where they're used to doing racers and they're going to come out and put out an action RPG open world game. I hope it turns out the same way for their studio that it did for Guerrilla Games. And Tempest Sun, I want to go to you last on this. Now, you have a place. You have all three consoles. Did you get a chance to play Horizon Zero Dawn? Because I know you like these big open world things.
I did.
I mean, listen, if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. That's perfectly fine.
No. There is a lot to like about the game for sure, and I did like a lot of things about it. It's hard to describe what I even had an issue with. It's not even so much an issue. It's just at a certain point. I think my playtime clocked around like 17 hours or so, and I'd say they were a good solid 17 hours. Like I had a lot of fun. One thing I think I did, which I probably shouldn't have, is when I play these games, I'm a big fan of there being different biomes. I enjoy the fact that it went from, it doesn't make any sense, let's be honest, but it doesn't have to. It's a video game. But it goes from ice, frozen wasteland to semi-frozen, like hinterland type thing, and then it went from desert. But what I did is I crawled up those big, radar tower things, that map out the thing.
Yes.
And I made it a point to, even if I shouldn't technically be there yet because of my level or whatever, I made it a point to unlock those. And for some weird reason, as soon as I unlocked them all, I stopped playing the game. So I don't know if I was just super interested in just seeing the whole map or whatever. I guess it just didn't. This story didn't like jive with me, if you will. And I don't know. So I don't really even have anything bad to say about it. I just lost interest. Now, that's not saying that the game's not great. I just lost interest. But I did buy it, and it looks fantastic. It really does. If you have I don't have a PS4 Pro. I have a standard PS4. But even on that, it actually looks so good. I know that the game had HDR, but I don't play on the PS4 that much. So what I did is I went out and bought a nice HDMI cord that could actually handle HDR on the PS4, and the HDR implementation, playing it without it and then going to it, was phenomenal.
It was night and day for sure.
Night and day.
Yeah,
it was night and day. Yeah, that was really good. So I really did enjoy those 17 hours. Every now and then I get a little bit like, maybe I should go back and play that. I might when I have some downtime, or if it's backwards compatible, who knows? Maybe PS5 when it comes out will have some form of boost mode or something like that that'll make it look even better. That might be the great time to go ahead and play it, you know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, if there's a second one, because I can't quite remember if they made Killzone 1 as well, but if that's anything to go by, Killzone 2 was so much better than Killzone 1. So if they could manage to pull the same thing off, maybe Horizon Zero Dawn 2 will be even better, you know.
Which would be hard to believe because 1 was really gorgeous to look at. They just need to tighten up the story, the faces were a problem. A lot of people say the face animation wasn't the greatest.
Yeah, like I remember Aloy almost. Now this, I'm not trying to be harsh here, but it almost looked like she had like mild like Parkinson's disease or something. Like her head was it was kind of bouncing around like a bobblehead or something. But yeah, I'm not trying to be harsh here, trust me. but I just remember that sticking out a little bit. But no, I did like it. So yeah, it's awesome. The second one's coming up.
Well, listen, I love everyone's point, and of course, the important part is the honesty, right? Like, we don't want someone to come in here on the show and be like, "Yeah, that Horizon Zero Dawn was great," and never played it. So everyone's opinion is definitely appreciated. I want to move on to a hot button topic. Ghost Recon Breakpoint got first of all, it released on Friday, and to say that some of the scores that I've seen have probably been the worst scores I've seen for a AAA title in 2019, for sure. And I'm going to tell you this. Now, look, I have put maybe about 4 hours into it because I was supposed to start on the weekend. And I got hung up watching movies and stuff with the missus. But I have been playing it for 4 hours. And I absolutely have zero idea what these reviewers are talking about. I have the 4 hours that I've played. I right before the show went live, and I'm talking about 15 minutes. Normally, I'm sitting here getting everything set up. I had to do, holy shit, the show's gonna start. I had to get off of Ghost Recon. I just finished a side mission. Listen. A lot of people didn't like Wildlands. When you say Ghost Recon, right, everyone thinks back to those amazing titles that were on the Xbox 360 that were fantastic, right? The tactical warfighter. That's what a lot of people remember Ghost Recon being. Then Wildlands comes out, and it's a little bit different than, still the gadgets are still there. The squad is still there, except you're hunting drug dealers. And now we have Ghost Recon Breakpoint, where you're actually going up against other ghosts that have defected. So far, I can say that I am absolutely loving this game. Everything about it is because I was a huge fan of Wildlands. I got 1,000 out of 1,000 point achievements on that. Played all the DLC. Really, really enjoyed Wildlands. And I'm enjoying this. So, Sir X-Men, I want to go to you because these scores have been nothing short of an abomination. And I actually don't know why, because I don't buy games based on scores. I buy games based on franchises that I like. And I knew I was going to like Ghost Recon, and I am actually really enjoying it. Are you considering buying the game? Have you seen any of the trailers? And what are your thoughts on these outrageous scores for Ubisoft's newest Ghost Recon?
All right, I'm going to give this on my understanding of some things. I did play Wildlands, so I played it thinking I was going to be playing, a traditional Ghost Recon.
Right.
So when I played, their open beta and for a while and stuff like that, I'm like, this doesn't feel right to me, because I'm so used to Ghost Recon back in the day where you would tell your people where to go, where you would tell your friends where to go. You would set up perimeters. You would guard this, guard that, not out in an open world. You know what I'm saying? So I can feel everything changes over time. I know games change mechanics, and game change things. But for me, that one I didn't like. But I was thinking about picking up this one because they say it has a stealth mechanic like the older Ghost Recon, where you really have to be patient. You really have to work as a team. You can't go out and run a gun. So I don't care about what these critics say. That's my style of game, where you and your crew really, really work together, and one person that's running free for all independent can mess up the whole plan. So yes, I am thinking about picking up this new Ghost Recon. But I don't believe the critic scores. I think they're premature because this is what I've heard before the scores even came out, that those people were ripping it when they were playing the alpha and the beta, and
Yes,
they
that
were
is
talking
correct.
bad about that
Yes.
game. So I got a feeling that they didn't really put like 10, 12 hours on the real game when it came out and just dropped the ball right after they played the beta, just like they did with Titanfall 2, which actually turned out to be a really good game. They did the same thing here. That's what I think this score came from.
Well, I mean, it's possible. I mean, this is a game that, first of all, the game is massive. I mean, the map is, you can pan out and you can see the size of the island that you're on.
It's bigger than the last one?
It might be. It actually might be bigger than Wildlands. It is a massive undertaking, and the problem with with myself, is that every time I see a question mark, I'm running towards it because because there is so much gear to find. It is unbelievable. I almost feel like ashamed if I don't go to get that box, because they pop up on your map when you get close enough to one of the question marks, and it tells you where you're going. The little cases start to pop up on the map, and some of them have 2, 3, sometimes even 4, and I'm like, oh my god, that's new boots.
A la Borderlands.
Yes, so it is. If you like to search for loot, if you like exploring, if you like playing with your friends and being tactical, I gotta tell you folks, this game might be for you.
Because I'm a Rainbow Six person, so I mean, not Siege, but the old Rainbow Six.
The old, like Siege. Vegas. Yes.
And I was hoping that since it's a Tom Clancy game and it's made by Ubisoft, that I heard they implemented some of the old school physics into this version, like the peep around the corner with my friends told me you can do it with the left trigger.
Yes, you actually, well,
like the old school.
Right. Well, what happens is, and I think what's pretty freaking amazing about this game is the options. You could change basically everything. Now, we know that most Tom Clancy games play from a third-person perspective where you actually see the character. And in this game, that's how it plays out.
Right.
But when you look down the sights, it goes to iron sights into FPS. And you can...
The same way. Yep.
But you could change that. If you don't like the first-person view, you can switch it to the third-person view, like a la Wildlands. But the fact that the choice is there, because it's the way it's set up is you're looking at the character in third person.
Right.
The minute you raise the gun from cover or from a corner, it goes into a first-person iron sights view.
Buying the game. You just sold me on it. I'm about to get that.
And without you having to hit a bumper, the character that you're controlling is so freaking smart that the gun leans over around the corner so you can take people from behind cover without them seeing you and taking any damage. It's bananas, dude.
Nice. You sold me. We're going to have to play.
Yes, we certainly are.
I got to pick that up.
Well, listen, Ubisoft, if you're listening and you need someone in marketing, BoomStick will pass up the golden ticket that hopefully Phil Spencer is going to mail to me, and I'll work for you even if I got to move to France. I don't care. But I want to talk to the other panel members about this, and I'll go to Tempest Sun first, because Tempest, one thing about you is not only do you enjoy shooters, but you enjoy tactical shooters. You enjoy open world type games. I think that this game might actually be for you. Even your wife might enjoy it because you get a chance to play multiplayer. What are your thoughts on what we've been talking about? And did you get a chance to see the new cinematic trailer that just dropped?
No, I didn't see the trailer. I didn't see that, but I was interested in this game from the get-go because of John Bernthal. Like, I love that guy.
And he is a prick, by the way. He's a prick in this.
I bet he was a prick when he played Shane too in The Walking Dead. So he can play a good one, I'll tell you what. But yeah, I was interested in this game just because of him. But I haven't gotten it yet, and that is just because I probably wouldn't play. I haven't even gotten Borderlands yet, and I love Borderlands 1 and 2. So I got to tell you something. I'm so far behind, but eventually I am going to pick it up. And good thing for me, if there is any kinks to work out, you know, it's Ubisoft, man. You got to give credit where credit's due. If something doesn't launch in a pristine state, for the most part, they seem to work at it, you know. From what I've been reading or watching as far as reviews go, I don't know, man. It seems like they wanted to really make an engrossing single player story, but like it's always connected online and stuff.
Yes.
And I don't think that's a problem because let's be honest. If you have a modern console, you're always online anyway. So
that is correct.
I don't get the hubbub about that. I could care less. You know, I really don't care. But to me, it seems like they wanted to make this a little bit more of a social thing. And a lot of people hate the games as a service model. And sometimes it sucks right out the gate. I get that. But if you look at how games grow, like Sea of Thieves, it's like quite literally probably 5 times the game it was when it launched. There's a bunch of games like that. Ubisoft games, For Honor, Rainbow Six Siege is another example.
No Man's Sky.
Yeah, No Man's Sky. Yeah, from Hello Games. I can't remember who made that one, but yeah, no, some of these games just improve and improve and improve, and it seems like with the always online and the social space, they probably have more plans for this game. I will tell you this: I haven't played the game. But the thing that annoys me a little bit, and it's a real touchy subject because the monetization. That's where people are really going apeshit with the reviews and knocking them or certain popular YouTubers, and I like some of these YouTubers, but they just drill into this game for the monetization. Now, is it egregious? Maybe. I haven't.
Yeah, but it's funny because someone actually just said that in the chat. G-Man 1172. First of all, thanks for being here, dude. He says that he looked into it. Mm-hmm. And he thinks that it's overly monetized. Like there's too much microtransactions. See, here's the thing, folks. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Origins, tons and tons of microtransactions. But I'm going to say this. For the 4 hours that I have put in, not only have I found ridiculous amounts of guns, gear, and money, which I would in-game money that you can use. They're considered scale points or scale dollars to buy other things. I have not seen one microtransaction pushed in my face. Now, are they there? Yes, you can certainly go and buy them, but you have to go looking for them. The same way you had to go looking for them in both Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey.
Yeah, well, see, Odyssey, there's a bunch of them, but that's one of my games of the generation, and I never once felt like I needed to spend money on the XP boosters and the money boosters.
No.
See, one thing, like I said, you got to give credit where credit's due. Maybe not all of it is 100% fantastic, but they do fill their games out. They're very big games. Like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I don't think it was physically possible without the XP boosters, mind you, to not hit max level and do everything. If you did everything that was in that game, had to hit max level. Like you absolutely had to. Like there was no way you weren't going to hit max level on the way, So I never grinded what I consider grinding. I'm an MMO guy. I can tell you what a grind is. That wasn't, And so that's one thing that these YouTubers, like Young is a YouTuber I watch sometimes, even though like 90% of what he covers is him complaining about the industry. But I still like Young, But when he was going on, he was complaining about the monetization and the boosters and stuff. And he keeps saying they purposely make the game boring and a grind, a tedious grind. So you have to buy these boosters. And I'm thinking to myself,
nope.
I'm like, did you play the game? I wish I could actually ask him and talk to him. Did you physically play the game? Can you tell me with a straight face, did they purposely make the game grindy and boring so you would have to buy these? Because I'll tell you what, when I play games, even though I play MMO games, I try to play as much as I possibly can, but I can't play as much as maybe the next person can. So if I want to spend money on a booster to boost my XP if I feel the need or the want to, that's my choice. You know, it's there for me to do so. I mean, I could, if it is a grindy game by design, which isn't always a bad thing, if there wasn't an option to go ahead and buy those boosters, I might be sitting there thinking, well, gosh, I really wish they just sold an XP booster so I could get a jump on some of this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's choices, man, you know? So, I mean, is it over monetized? It sounds like it might be like everything you can buy, but you know what? I've also heard a bunch of people. It's a choice. I've heard a bunch of people say they felt like they have not been grinding while playing the game, and they felt no need to spend money on it. So,
well, look, I'm gonna admit something proudly on the air. First of all, Ubisoft is by far my personal favorite company this generation. I have purchased just about every one of their games. Now, sure, Fallout's formula, very similar. Ghost Recon, similar formula. Assassin's Creed, whether you like it or love it. I absolutely love every game that they put out. I buy all of the $100 editions. Now, thankfully, you know, thanks to the generosity of a community member by the name of Jim Jordan, who gifted me a $70 Xbox Live gift card, which is unbelievable that someone would do that. I added $30 to it, and I got the gold edition of Ghost Recon because I knew I was going to love the game. And I'm going to say this. Maybe I'm the problem, and I have no problem admitting that, but just about every Ubisoft game that comes out, I'm dropping $10 or $20, and that's the maximum I'll buy. But like I said, for Odyssey, a lot of people break my balls over this, but I bought the Pegasus. I bought the Pegasus because guess what? I'm a huge fan of that genre, and you know, it's something I wanted to buy, and I'm not sorry. Clash of the Titans is one of my favorite old school films, not the new ones, the old school joints. Where they use claymation for the Kraken, right? Well, you know, I wanted a Pegasus like that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna drop $20, and it's a good chance that I'm probably gonna drop $10 or $20 in the new Ghost Recon because I like buying some of the stuff I don't want to grind, you know, and I see something that I want and I buy it, but
it's no different than someone playing a Forza. If you like the cars and the pack that's in the car,
yes,
you know it's DLC, you're gonna pay for it.
Yes,
because you want to drive that car. It's no different. But everybody makes such a big deal out of it. That's another topic for another day.
Yeah, no, we probably spend 3 hours on that. And again, some people will disagree. Some people, like for instance, Jay Fonzarelli, who was going to be on the show, really doesn't dig the microtransactions, and I might actually come back around when he gets back on the show either next week or the week after, and we'll talk about that. But Gaming Forte, I want to go to you on this because you work at GameStop, so you see people coming or not coming to buy this game. Well, what are your thoughts on the unbelievable low scores, and do you believe that people that are on these bigger sites, these bigger YouTube channels that are just beating the balls off this game because of the microtransactions instead of actually playing the game, do you believe that?
Yeah, sorry, my wife was talking to me. Look, this game has been scrutinized ever since the microtransactions came out. It had a lot of promise in the beginning. People were genuinely excited just because of everybody was saying, just because who's actually being played in the game. And that's why I was super excited to play it. But overall, microtransactions have been a part of all the Ubisoft games pretty much for a long time now. This is just another indication of them continuing that. For most people, and for people like me, the biggest problem with Ubisoft games is they start to become real samey. I loved Wildlands. I really enjoyed it a lot, just how open the worlds are and stuff like that. When I played the beta, it was a little off for me on this one just because I didn't see any of the technical flaws that they had in Wildlands. And, you know, a sequel is supposed to be kind of a continuation of making stuff better. But as I played a little bit more of it, I got more to the story, more and more to the groove. But the biggest thing is I like co-op games, and this is one of the few co-op games that you can play outside of like Division and stuff. That's an actual tactical type shooter.
Yes.
That's what I like about it the most. Ghost Recon is by far one of my most favorite franchise because I pretty much learned how to play tactical shooters on the original Ghost Recon on original Xbox. That was the game that started everything for online for me, honestly, outside of a Halo. So knowing the direction that this game is going in, as soon as you see loot boxes and all the stuff in games, people get a little upset about that. And I get it, and I understand it, but overall, they're only there because we buy them. And
Right.
I'm not talking about us in general.
Talking about the public.
Enough people go out and spend money on these credits, and that's why they keep doing it. If we don't want it to happen, then people need to stop buying them. But guess what? You can't tell people that's got too much money and not enough time what to do with their money. So that's gonna be something that we just have to deal with to this point going forward. And Overwatch didn't change its structure. It was like one of the first ones, and no one's changed their structure. All they do is roll back, and honestly, it's gotten a little worse because now instead of giving us full-fledged DLCs and stuff and saying, hey, this DLC and this and that, now we're getting all the DLC free, and then people are wondering if they're going to get all the content that is in that pass versus paying for stuff up front. This is the cost of people getting what they want. Developers are always going to find a way to get their money one way or another, but it just comes down to the consumer base to decide that this is worth me spending my money for. And guess what? We can't tell you it's not because it's your money, but then we can't be upset at people for saying that microtransactions are ruining games in the same breath. So it's kind of a slippery slope, but it pretty much goes back and forth. But the game is good. I'm enjoying it. Especially if you got 4 people to play it with, you can really role play it out real seriously. And I think that's the funnest part of the game overall.
Hey, can I say real quick?
Yeah, sure. Jump in.
He mentioned Overwatch, and I just want to say it might be egregious what Ubisoft is doing. I get it. I really do. But they allow you to buy what you want to buy.
Thank you. That's a great point.
Yeah, because Overwatch, they did something that at first, it was something that the community was actually asking for. But when I experienced the change for myself, it was so clever of them. The way their system works is you can get actual gold or money through the loot box system. And if you get duplicates, you can sell those duplicates, all right? And it gives you that currency. So as you open up the packs, if you get, especially if you happen to get the same epic skin that you already had, you'll end up getting like 600 currency, and like 1,000 currency is what makes you buy an extra skin, right?
Right.
Well, what they did was they took away the duplicates from the boxes. Now, first you're like, oh, good, I'll never get the same thing twice. But let's be honest, what they do is when they release these updates where they have like 5 or 6 legendary skins, the thing you really want, on top of that, they add over 100 to 200 bullcrap items that you do not care about. And because there's no duplicates, you never get the currency ever, unless you just happen to get it in the boxes. My rate of getting the legendary skins plummeted severely once they made that quote unquote consumer friendly change. And I guarantee you they made more money after they made that change for the quote unquote for the customer. It was bizarre, man. I never got so little skins I wanted after they made that change. It's like, you sneaky little. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I give you one more example? I know I'm not trying to get off a topic, but one game that does it that no one ever talks about or criticizes is Mortal Kombat 11.
Really?
It is just, oh yeah, it's just ridiculous. If you want to get certain things, and they, sometimes they give you stuff, but if you're so close to getting certain things, they have transactions where you can buy the jewels and buy more coins. So say if you're in a crypt, they don't have the automatic crypt thing anymore. You can buy coins to help you open up the crypt to get more attachments for your character to help him out within the game. If you play with, your weapon set on, where people can play with their weapons doing more damage, if you buy that one. So nobody ever talks about Mortal Kombat 11 doing it because it's one of those games that no one wants to talk about. It's one of the top, it's one of those
it's a darling
top games. No one
Yeah.
talks about super top games or fighting games, but
Mm-hmm.
fighting games have been doing that for years with microtransactions. No one really
Right.
says anything.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, some people. I mean, I guess some games are just above the criticism, and I think Mortal Kombat might be one of them. But I am gonna tell you this: if again, I'm not gonna review the game because that means I have to plow through it. Now, like for instance, I did a review for Wreckfest. THQ Nordic actually, granted Double Barrel Gaming a code, and I played it. And I did my review today. It's up if you want to check it out.
Definitely.
This would be a daunting review. You'd have to, I mean, in order to do a proper review, this is a game that you need 30, 40 hours in because I'm only 4 hours into it, and my God, I can't stop playing it. And maybe because I love collecting things, maybe because, I'm so used to the Ubisoft, cookie cutter way of making games. Go here, open up this part of the map, go there. Wherever there's a question mark, Boom is going. It's almost a problem. I'm going to be honest with you.
You're a
That's what happened in Wildlands.
Perfectionists are like that.
Yeah, you know what? That's funny because I don't consider myself a perfectionist, but I love adventuring. Especially in the game, I like going off the beaten path. I like finding the loot. I like changing my character. Like I got a skull mask I'm wearing now. I put it up on Twitter, which looks totally dope. But Cybernox, I want to go to you on this, okay? Because obviously it's getting. I don't want to use the word review bomb. People are entitled to their opinion, so it's not getting the greatest of reviews. And maybe the game isn't for everyone. And maybe people are so bent out of shape about the microtransactions that are not in your face, by the way, that is changing their judgment for the review. I don't know. I can't say. But I'm loving it. What are your thoughts on what you've heard so far about Ghost Recon? And are you interested in picking this up?
Well, to me, it's a real shame because I played the hell out of Wildlands. I just checked. I have about 3 days in that game.
Wow.
It's to me, it was a game that I couldn't go. I would get a couple of my friends together, and then we would just get in there and start freaking, exploring that world, completing missions, side quests, and just bullshit around. It's like the perfect game for that. You don't really have to. You're just having fun. It's an open sandbox. Now, I was in the open beta for I played the open beta for Breakpoint, and I'm sad to say that I didn't see a significant change from Wildlands, and I was just like, "Is in Wildlands." And I looked at the map, I looked at everything, I looked at the structure of it, and I just didn't see enough change at Breakpoint. Maybe it was just a beta. I am interested in this game still, but it's probably not something that I'll pick up. Maybe when it's on sale.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's probably going to drop down. I mean, the Division 2 dropped down relatively quickly, maybe a month after it was released.
I think Forte, he mentioned that. I think to me, I love Ubisoft. I love what they've done. I love the way that they continue to support their games, but all their games have steadily become the same blueprint. You play Assassin's Creed for the same reason I have played Odyssey. I plan on picking up Odyssey this year because I didn't want to pick it up last year because I had just finished Origins. To me, it looked like Origins and Odyssey were the same game. If you look at the structure for Ghost Recon and you look at even the Assassin's Creed games nowadays, it's pretty much the same thing. You have a big open box map. Obviously, the combat can vary from here and there, but you have your Eagle, which is your drone on Ghost Recon.
Pretty much, yeah.
You're going to certain areas, you're doing this. So I was expecting something a little bit different from Breakpoint when it comes to Wildlands, just because I enjoyed that game so much. And unfortunately, I didn't see that. Now, in regards to the microtransactions and things, as long as it's not in my face, I can earn everything during in game, I'm fine with it. And that's the kind of game that you can spend countless hours in, just hanging out with your friends, bullshitting. I just hope that I don't know. something changes in the blueprint, because I just feel like Ubisoft is starting to lose their identity a little bit between their games. And because you know who suffers from this, Boom? Splinter Cell, because they haven't found a way to monetize it yet. All right, that's all I'm saying.
I hope. Well, listen. Look, all I'm going to say is that I wouldn't. I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe I'm going to get booed off my own show. But if they made Splinter Cell not as open world as Odyssey, right? And obviously you can't have Sam Fisher riding Pegasus, right? I completely understand that, but
make it like Tomb Raider.
Give it like Tomb Raider. Yeah, that's something.
Oh yeah, it'll be amazing.
That would be kind of dope. Listen, Ubisoft, hire this man. Get somebody working on the next name Splinter Cell. Clowns, I want to go to you next. Well, actually, you're next, but last for the topic before we move on. What are your thoughts on what they're saying about Ghost Recon? Is it something that you would be interested in? And do you think that the scores could be marred by the fact that that most avenues are putting up the microtransactions first before the actual game?
Well, Boom, I haven't seen all the scores, so I missed that part of it. But as far as Ghost Recon, I played some of the beta, and I gotta say, I'm not a fan of it.
Okay.
I know that Cybernox said that he felt like it was kind of like maybe a little bit still like Wildlands, but as a huge Wildlands fan, when I played it, I didn't see resemblances, and I'm not meaning to demean the game, but to me, when I played the game, in my opinion, I know everybody's got a different one, but in my opinion, I felt like that it still had it felt like I hate to say this, man, it reminded me of GoldenEye in some sense, the enemies. So, I was hoping for something better. I was hoping more narco stories. I didn't really get far in the beta, but I'm kind of disappointed, and I'm a huge Ubisoft fan as well. I love every game that's come out by them so far this generation, even Assassin's Creed, all of them. So Unity, and speaking of, but this, I'm just not into it. I can't get into it, man.
Listen, that's perfectly okay. I mean, obviously we're not going to tell you to play something I mean, if you enjoyed Wildlands, I really think that you're going to enjoy this. But, again, that's just my opinion. Maybe it's even someone would consider biased because I'm such a big fan of Ubisoft and this way, the way that they make games.
I just don't understand why they couldn't have just pull a Destiny and just kept the freaking Wildlands world. Keep adding to that world, keeping in new teams, bring that team to a new location, something like that. I don't know, something different, but keep that same world alive, or I don't know, something like that.
I agree with you on that, Cyber.
Because look at what's going on with Destiny. Not to make this a Destiny topic, but Destiny is a game that continually, continually keeps to evolving, continually keeps adding new. It's amazing, and the fan base is there. You're going to get your hardcore games that are going to blow things, out of the water right away. But then you're going to get new fans coming in. You're going to have people continue playing your game. So I don't understand why they just didn't keep adding to that world. And
I can tell you why.
Why?
I can tell you why. Well, unfortunately, there's only one Bungie, and I don't care. And I still think Ubisoft is by far the best publisher and developer this generation. But I think Bungie has probably the best overall game that spanned across the whole generation. Of course, there's games that's been better. I think God of War is probably the best game that's come out. But if you're talking about a game that's in the genre of what not Far Cry, but like Division, these open world type games where there's a sense of adventure and completion and competition, I think Bungie just nails it with their gameplay.
Yeah, well, the gameplay is tight. There's no doubt about it.
There's no game, as much as I can say, when I pull a trigger in any game, even in Halo to this point now, Halo still feels good because it has the formula, it has the old DNA still in it. But when I pull a gun and I pull a weapon in Destiny, I feel it feels powerful. Everything feels different. And then with it being a sci-fi type game, you kind of have liberties that you don't have in games like, more tactical, more grounded out games like that. Plus, when you're going to these different environments, it all looks the same. You know,
That's
if
how
I go to
feel
one island, it looks like another island. It just has a different coat of paint on it. It might be a little greener over here than it is over there. It might be a little brown here. Whereas in Destiny, it's like
I got you. You're going to
100%.
different locations. Like
you're literally going different places in that game when you go there. So even when people complain about reskin content, the content still looks better than anything else we play when it comes to going from place to place. And that's the only reason I think they don't go in that direction, even though, and I feel like they should at least try to do something like that.
That's why Wildlands Breakpoint felt so much like Wildlands to me. It just didn't feel like a significant change that would make me like. I spent three damn days on Wildlands. All right, I need a break. I ain't buying Breakpoint right now.
The way you guys feel about those games is the way I feel about Battlefield 4. I will still go back and play Battlefield 4.
I was just going to interrupt and say something, Sir X, man.
Those are still the greatest shooting mechanics in
games. Absolutely. Yes.
And
I was going to say,
should copy that. The Battlefield 1 and the Battlefield 5 should copy that, and these other games, the Wildlands, everything, they should copy those gun physics.
Sir X, man, if they literally all they is just put out another DLC and remaster that puppy and just make it run smoother, give us like a 4K 60 frames per second patch, and I will play that thing so much. It's just it's such a good game.
Me and my boys will still get together and play Battlefield 4.
I'll play with you. I still play from time to time too.
I'll play
that's
with
pretty
you
dope.
too.
Same here.
Well, it seems like Battlefield 4 is definitely a game
for all
that
the stuff that game's been through too. Man.
A lot of changes, lots of changes.
Battlefield 4 is better than all the Battlefields that they brought out.
Yes,
I agree.
It's the last Battlefield I actually hit max rank in.
Wow,
it sucked in the beginning, but they fixed everything.
They did. Oh yeah,
everything is perfect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny because I have a couple of more topics that I'd like to talk about, but you know, I want to close out the show, being that we're talking about Destiny, and we do have Guardian Forte leading the charge. Here's my question, and this is, folks, again, this wasn't on the docket, but Destiny, obviously the expansion release, lots of people are playing it and really enjoying it. They're saying that it's very Taken King-esque, right? Like that goodness that we got with Taken King. Some people are saying that it's even better than Forsaken, which I only kind of nipped at. I'm so lost in Destiny, it's embarrassing, considering I put over 1,000 hours into the first one, 500 hours into Destiny 2 OG, and I just fell out of love with it. I don't know, but I think I'm gonna have to go out and buy this expansion, which I think is $35, right? If you have Forsaken already. Forte, what is everyone talking about? Is Destiny 2's new DLC or expansion worth the price of admission?
All right, so let's talk from two different standpoints. If you're a person coming in day one, never played Destiny a day in your life, or Destiny 2, I should say, it is absolutely worth it for $35. It's worth it for $60. Reason I'm saying it's worth it for $60, you basically get the base game for free, and if you buy Shadowkeep, you get all the DLC up to Shadowkeep for free too. And then if you buy the $60 version, you get everything coming out past Shadowkeep with the game. So you're basically getting a game that I paid over $200 for at most $60 because they're giving you every piece of DLC that came out for the game. And if you remember, even when Forsaken came out, in order to play Forsaken, you had to have the DLCs before it, which was Warmind and the Curse of Osiris. You had to pay for those. So if you were behind, it was conducive for you to wait for them to drop the price on those other DLCs to get in. This time, you don't even have to do that. Just buy $35, get you everything. You could. It's better than Game Pass at that point when it comes to one. At least when it comes to one game. And when it comes to the comparisons to not Taken King, but to
Forsaken.
Forsaken. Yeah.
It has. When it comes to the overall feel of it, it's probably a little bit bigger than Forsaken. It doesn't have that wow moment like like going to the not the Tango Shore, but the other place I forget where the I can't remember the name of the place. I already forgot about it because I ain't been there in a while. But it doesn't have the allure of the areas that certain ones had when it came to not the Taking King, but the Dreaming City. That's what it was. It doesn't have the Dreaming City type vibe where you go to this place like, wow, this looks magical, it's crazy, and the raid is there. You're going back to the moon, somewhere we already been before. Some of the buildings are torn down, some things are in different places, but overall, the atmosphere of it is captured 100%. Once you go there, you know exactly what you're doing there, and the raid is by far the best raid they ever made.
Really?
The raid is by far the best raid they've ever made. Still got a little bit of issues with the way they do the weapons in the raid, because they kind of are shying away from putting the most powerful things in-game activities like that, because they want everybody to have access to that stuff, and only 3 to 4% of the community that plays the game beats the raid. So I wish they changed that up a little bit, but when it comes to the beauty, the spectacle, there's nothing like those raids. And if you've seen any of the trailers they release, they make you want to go out and buy the game if you never even played it before.
100%,
they are
man.
masterful at making you excited for something that you didn't even know you wanted. So that is really cool. All the different changes they fit, dude. They're basically giving. You don't even have to buy the loot boxes. They're there for you to buy the little engrams and stuff. But you basically get those. Anything you want in the game, you get for free almost. The first season, they have the whole season pass book, like how they have in Fortnite and stuff.
Right.
The first season is free. You just buy Forsaken, that whole first season up to level 100, you get with Forsaken. You just got to buy it for $10 on the next season if you want to get it for the next season. And that is ingenious, because that's how they're going to fund this game going forward, instead of nickel and diming you like everybody else normally does in the game. And I just like it because Bungie is in control of this game. Everything falls on them. They can't blame Activision. They can't blame Microsoft. They can't blame nobody. They can't blame Sony anymore. All they can do is say, this is the game we want people to play, and this is the game that we want to make. And making this game free to play, where it's averaging over 300,000 people concurrently on Steam by itself, which is number 3 on the chart right now when I'm looking at it. Number 3 on Steam right now is Destiny 2.
Wow.
Actually,
I got a question for you, because I can't answer it because I haven't bought the new DLC yet. Philly Eagle drops in an outstanding $5 super chat. He's asking, I actually thought of trying to jump back in, but I'm not interested in linking my account. Is that mandatory or a disclaimer?
No, it's not mandatory. If you link your account to like Steam and stuff, it basically just allows you to enable cross save. As long as you don't want to do cross save or cross play, well, not cross play, cross save across different consoles, you don't have to do it at all. You just go on that system, download the Destiny 2 client, and buy the DLC if you want it. If you don't, you have access to everything in the game, with the exception of the raid and the story missions for the new DLC. But you have everything else in the game. It doesn't matter. You can do anything you want. Go into Crucible matches with your friends. Do the old story missions with your friends if you want to. You just have to buy the DLC if you want to do the new stuff.
Okay, well that makes sense. I mean, obviously it's a new expansion pack, and they can't give the farm away for free, right? I mean, they got to make money.
Seems like they trying to, though. Honestly.
Well, I mean, listen. There's no doubt that there was some serious goodwill that had to be levied, because this is, of course, the first real expansion outside of the breakup between them and Activision. So they had to do it right. There's no doubt. Tempest Sun, I want to go to you, because I see you're an MMO guy. I don't know what your love is for Destiny. Are you interested in the new DLC for Destiny 2?
Yes, actually, I am. I do like Destiny. I played more Destiny, the first one, than I did Destiny 2, I will admit. I'm very, very going back. My wife plays it a lot. or she did at one point. Yeah, absolutely. I'm interested. I do have a question for Forte because he's more into it. Have they ever? The cross save is a big deal for a lot of people, but is there any talk of it being cross play at any point?
So they talked about they did talk about that when that was one of the questions when they talked about cross save, and they said that is a thing that the community wants. They just aren't talking about it at this time, which is code for me to say Destiny 3 cross save will come with cross play, and cross save will be
that makes sense
with the next big version of the game. I wouldn't be surprised when the next systems come out, if that is next year when they do Destiny 3 or whatever they'll call it. That's when they'll implement cross play across all systems. Then, but it's gonna come.
Okay, that answer. I asked that question, and the answer leads me to my next question, and almost of a statement. The reason I ask it is because I'm going to sound like a spoiled brat here, but I am so spoiled by, honest to goodness, thankfully, a lot of games are implementing 60 frame per second modes. Even if they don't quite hit it, that's the goal. I mean, you got Doom, Wolfenstein, the Battlefield 5, Call of Duties, Gears 5, Borderlands 3, even though it doesn't need it, Rage 2, the Titanfall. I mean, even Apex, that game has no right running close to 60 frames a second, it being a battle royale like it is, but it does. So just when I used to go back and forth between games, which I do a lot, dude, I felt it. I really felt it. And I'm sorry, I call bullcrap. At least the Xbox One X, they could put a 60 frames per second mode on that game, and I just think they're refusing to. I truly believe they could get it to 60 FPS on the at least the X. So I think they just need to. I mean, they're not in cahoots with Sony anymore, so who cares? I mean, you might say
they ain't gonna do it now, just because. I trust me. I'm in the same wheelhouse. I believe they. But that deal with Activision and Sony probably prohibited them doing something like that, or it was behooved them not to do it.
Even long term.
And knowing Bungie, the community that they are, because they always been about community.
Yeah.
They're not going to announce anything like that now and leave with the perception that it's going to leave another console behind. Because if you tell Xbox One X people that they're able to play 60 frames per second, everybody's going to say, well, you could have did this the whole time, so you're going to have a segment of the community that's going to be pissed. Then the other segment will be like, what about our system too? It's too late for this game now.
Yeah, I agree. I think that in the life cycle of generations that we're in currently right now, especially in the state that Destiny 2 is, they wouldn't do it because they're just starting to garner yays and cheers instead of boos and bottles being thrown at them, with them leaving Activision now doing this. But Sir X-Men, I want to get your opinion on this. You're obviously the special guest of today. Are you a Destiny player, and are you interested in the new DLC that could run you either $35 or $60?
I've always liked Destiny, and I've played it up to a point. Always when something comes out that I really, really want to play, that's really more important to me than Destiny. I played Destiny 2 for a while when I was sharing it with a friend, and I was into it. I was playing it, and then Forza 7 came out, and it stopped me from playing Destiny, and I got way, way behind, and I couldn't catch up with nobody, man. So I was like, there's so many other games, man, that comes out. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's definitely true, especially these big. Well, not really. I mean, I guess it would be an MMO, but when the games are that big, you got to be grinding on almost like a couple of days a week, or you definitely get left behind for sure.
Yeah, and we're not like we were before, man. I mean, back then we had plenty of time, but when you got kids, family responsibilities, it makes it hard to
I know about that.
Yes, you certainly do.
I told my kids, when y'all finally get out the house, all I'm gonna do is work and play games. That's all I'm doing.
That's great.
I got a lot of catch up to do, a lot. And
well, everyone's backlog grows 10 to 25% per year. It's just
and I want to play Destiny and get to that 750 level that they have, but the time doesn't allow. They make games so big now, it just doesn't allow us adults that can afford it to do it like we used to.
Well, the
That's
good
why I
thing
wanna be
is you don't have
retired
to
like
get the
Boom.
750 anymore.
You automatically get it, right?
You
Yeah, I
automatically
know.
get
I
boosted
remember
to 750 now.
they did the same thing in Destiny 1 when I came back.
Yep. All you got to do is just jump into the game. You can start playing the new content day one. You ain't got to worry about
That
leveling anything.
But that doesn't mean you're gonna have the guns at that level to do that.
No, all the guns are everything in your arsenal drops. Everything that
At
you
your
own
level,
on your
yeah.
account is automatically boosted to 750.
That's
Really?
dope because I like everything that I
Everything.
currently have, so I think I'm gonna have to buy this now.
Everything. They literally boosted everybody's inventory. Whatever you had in your inventory,
Uh-huh.
if it was 200, it don't matter. They boosted everything in your inventory to 750.
Now we're talking. Okay, see now you might you see like I sold some I sold some stuff today, and now you just sold me.
I just got it for free, right? But my game comes out this week, Grid.
Oh,
And
a lot of people
here I
are
go.
Deal.
Here I go, not playing Destiny again.
for a driving game. Yeah, that's funny.
I love Grid, dude.
Well,
Always have.
Destiny's free to play now, so you jump in
I
whenever
have
you're ready.
it downloaded. I have it downloaded. I don't turn down nothing free.
Is it free to play on Steam, or do I have
It's
to?
free to
install
play
it
everywhere.
Steam
everywhere.
I got
Oh,
on
you
my
know what?
PC too.
I'm gonna try that out.
I'm gonna tell you right now, you go on
Everywhere
Steam, you ain't gonna want to come back.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
dude.
why I try to
60
stay
frames
off,
there.
That's why I
This
try
is
to
what I
stay off
love.
I try to stay off PC because when I go to PC and play,
That's
it's
what I'm
rough,
talking
man.
about,
Yeah,
man.
see,
I
I'm
know.
coming back to console.
I would love
Yeah.
to play. I want to play Destiny on PC, and now that I can send things over, I love playing my shooters in triple screen because I got a triple screen rig.
Oh, that's dope.
And I love playing.
That's
There's
dope.
It's to me, it's better than VR because
It probably is,
I
yeah.
can see people sneaking around me. That's the fun part.
That's
And
the
they be like, "How
tactical
did he
advantage
see me?"
everyone needs. That's for sure.
That's pay to win, man. Holy
Oh.
crap!
Yeah, no doubt about it. Listen, before we get out of here and I do all the outros, and
Let me just comment something. Real
yeah, no,
quick
no.
on
I'm actually
Destiny.
going to go to you next on this. But before I do, I have to thank Deadly Chaos 75 with the very generous $10 super chat. He says, "Great show, guys, as always." Well, first of all, thank you for your generosity, and we're really excited that you're enjoying the show. But Cybernox, I want to get your opinion on this, and then I'll get Clowns, and then we'll get everybody out of here because we're running into the 10 o'clock hour. What are your thoughts on the new DLC? Are you interested, and are you going to be jumping back into Destiny 2?
I'll be real quick. There's something mesmerizing about Destiny that I tell everyone you should at least try.
I agree.
Like,
Best shooting mechanics in gaming.
The mechanics, I don't know what Bungie did, but let me tell you something. The best shooting mechanics for a first-person shooter that I've ever played, in my personal opinion. And there's not just that. The visuals on this game is absolutely stunning. When you go into a world, the sense of scale that this game gives you, it's unbelievable. I don't think, if you have never played Destiny, go ahead. It's free right now, Destiny 2. Give it a try. I guarantee you'll not be disappointed. You can play with your friends. You can play it by yourself. You can play PvP if you like. It's an amazing game. Like I said, the shooting, the mechanics, the enemies, the exploration that you get on this world.
And Cyber's right. With
like
as much as going on in that game, there's really no lag. There's really no lag in that Destiny.
Oh
None.
my god, this game is amazing. I haven't tried the new DLC yet, just because I think most people that listen to the show know I got a newborn. But I'm ready for it. You know what I mean? So
Your body's ready for it.
Oh my god, yeah.
I was ready.
Yeah.
I was ready for Boom's last topic about House of the Dead. That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's, you know what, we're gonna come
I
back to
wanted
that.
that so
I'm gonna reuse the story I didn't get a chance to use in Friday morning's Breakfast with Boom. I had written up a
I
nice.
gave it away. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay, dude. No, don't be silly. There's no time limit for how long people speak on my shows. The floor is yours until you're done. That's the way we do it. We want everybody comfortable and to say their piece without being rushed. Clowns, why don't you close out the topic as well as tonight's outstanding show? Are you interested in jumping back into Destiny 2 after hearing all of the goodwill apparently that is going on with Bungie and the community?
Well, I mean, it's good on Bungie for the stuff they're doing. That PC stuff's really cool. But Nautical's probably not going to like what I'm going to say.
Go ahead, brother.
I am anti-Destiny.
That's fine.
It's just not my type of game, man.
Okay,
but
listen, that's okay.
But I can understand why people love it. You know, it gets people together. They have fun. They have a good time. Bunch of friends. They do their raids. They do their strikes, things like that. So, I mean, it's really cool what Bungie's doing moving forward, and keeping their player base together like that. And I think, like everybody said, Destiny 2 is free right now, so that's cool. Yeah. So, hats off to Bungie.
That's what all
Look,
that gaming
man,
is all about.
Bungie's game basically tells this is all you need to know about the game. It's not even about, it's about everything you just said. The biggest thing is, if you want to be a person that wants to save a little money and you enjoy shooters in general, especially sci-fi shooters, this game is a game in itself. You will play, like, I've never in life have played a game as much as I played this game. Over 2,600 hours on Destiny 1,
wow,
and close to 2,100 hours on Destiny 2.
Wow, that's 5,000 hours, folks. That's close to 5,000 hours.
Close to that for me. It's like at this point,
Xbox.
I don't know how to play anything else, because every time I feel like I want to play a different game, I feel like I'm cheating. The only game I actually took time off to play was God of War, because that game is just incredible.
Yeah, well, listen, all I can say is that thank you for the information, because you are our resident Destiny and Bungie guru. As a matter of fact, Philly Eagle in the chat just says, facts. I just logged in, and my character is at 750. So the truth has been spoken tonight, and I am going to have to jump into this. And I want to say, first of all, the chat, we had over 70 people watching, which is great. We want to try and up those numbers. So if you are enjoying the new primetime gaming on Monday nights, let people know about it. Retweet the advertising I put out there, and also share this video, today's show on social media. And on your way out, hit that like button, because it really does help the channel grow and get into that algorithm that I still don't understand when it comes to YouTube. But I want to get our guests out of here, because it is past the 10 o'clock hour. And of course, I want to go to our first special guest, Sir X-Man. First of all, dude, it was great to have you on the show. We finally got a chance to work together, and it was amazing. Do me a favor and tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter and what else you have going on in social media.
Pretty much, I'm Sir X-Man on Twitter. Sir X-Man1 if you want to type it in that way. That's pretty much it. Sir X-Man with spaces in between the X on Xbox Live. And that's about it for right now. Oh, and Sir X-Man on YouTube if I ever make another video.
All right, well, listen, dude, we appreciate you definitely being here, and he is definitely one of the community finest. He's always in the chat supporting people, which is why I wanted to get him on the show. He reached out to me, and I say this openly. If you're interested and you want to be on the show, just hit me up in a DM, and we will figure it out. I love introducing new talent to the community, and in my opinion, everyone, big and small, have a voice in this amazing community. And of course, let me get to my panel, and I'll go to Clowns first, get him out of here. I know that you are probably podcasting from a giant slice of pizza on the sinking state known as Florida. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they could follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, check out your incredible YouTube channel.
Well, just don't follow me in a sinking river here in Florida on alligator. I'll tell you that.
Wow.
But every Monday, usually 5 p.m. This month we've been doing like every 2 weeks. But Four Guys with Quarters. I mean, just search for it. We're almost on every podcasting platform now. I'm trying to work on something with Viacom, and we're working on hopefully a contract with Pandora. So we're hoping things come through in the future. So yeah, just search for us.
All right, well, thanks for being here, Clowns. As always, really appreciate what you bring to each and every show that you're on. Cybernox, you got here a little late. The bat signal came out, and you still responded. I appreciate you being here every week. We obviously know that you have a newborn and you have a family you must attend to, but I enjoy having you on this panel. Tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, check out what you're doing on your YouTube channel.
Absolutely, boom. You know when that symbol goes up, you know I'm coming. You know I'm coming. But yeah, I'm easy, man. Cybernox on Xbox Live. If anybody's ever down a game, I have over. So I'm sure we all have one or two games that we can game together. On YouTube, Cybernox. If you enjoy watching, game movies, I make those, and I make tips and tricks on certain games. This month I'm going to be doing tons of scary games for Halloween, so that'll be a lot of fun. And Cybernox on Twitter, super easy. Thanks for the chat for being here. Shout out to Sir X Man, first time podcasting with this man. Absolute pleasure. And I'll catch you guys next Monday.
Nice. Well, thanks again for being here, dude. Really appreciate it. And Gaming Forte, our resident guardian, tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, check out what you've been doing on your YouTube channel.
Yo, it's Gaming Forte on YouTube, Twitter, all those good old places, even Facebook if you go there. Another great show. Sir X-Men, thanks for joining us, man. It's been a pleasure to sit across from you or just look at a screen with you on it. That's been really cool. But on top of that, guys, just make sure you hit that like button on the way out, man. Definitely want to make sure you hit as many people with this podcast over the week as possible. So do a solid. Get the Oprah Winfrey of YouTube, as many people watching as you can. And I'm out, man. Y'all have a good week.
Well, definitely appreciate you being here, and as always. And last and certainly not least, our resident MMO dominator himself, Tempest Sun. Tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, hit you up to give them a hand in either MMOs or shooters on Xbox Live.
Absolutely, Boom. At Tempest Sun on Twitter. And the gamer tag is just Tempest Sun with a space between Tempest and Sun. I'm going to be gaming on some Apex tonight. So if you want to be the third person in our group, hit me up. And real quick, shout out to AP Cool J. He's here every night.
Yes, he is. Good gentleman.
Yeah, absolutely. His new puppy, it's like a wolf hybrid or a husky or something. Freaking adorable. I'm happy for you, buddy. Have fun with them. I'm just looking at him like, I want this, but I can't have it. So.
Well, listen, thank him and thank everyone in the chat for being awesome as always. Like I said, I know the numbers aren't high, probably because of Monday Night Football, and that's okay because we're going to still keep grinding primetime gaming each and every week. I want to thank my outstanding panel, my amazing guest, and I want to wish everyone a great week. Enjoy gaming. Stop the console war shenanigans. Be nice. Treat people how you want to be treated, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming, where we're going to be getting the return of So Shady, who has been taking some time off to recover from surgery, and we talked privately today, and he will be making his triumphant return next Monday evening, and we'll see everyone there. Take care. Have a great week, everybody.
Good, everybody.